Welcome, everyone. Today we're looking at something truly fundamental, really getting to grips with self-awareness. We've got this fantastic resource here, the Breakthrough Bulletin, and it's focused squarely on self-awareness and emotional intelligence.
That's right. And, if you're tuning in, maybe you're looking for ways to understand yourself a bit better. This material makes a pretty bold promise, basically, to help you know yourself, master your emotions, and elevate your life.
It's ambitious.
It is, yeah. But it's less about learning totally new things and more about sharpening the tools you probably already have.
I really liked how it positioned the why behind all this. It argues that self-awareness and emotional intelligence aren't just nice-to-haves, They're framed as the actual inner foundation of a powerful, authentic life.
Exactly. And you see it in the results, right? The bulletin points to big improvements in relationships, better decision-making, which is more personal fulfillment overall. This isn't just fluffy self-help stuff.
No, it feels more like foundational work.
It is. It's about understanding what makes you tick, so you stop kind of being pushed around by things unconsciously. You're not just reacting all the time.
Which connects directly to that point from Coach Renee mentioned in the bulletin, that when you really know yourself, you finally stop operating on autopilot. We just react so often, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. Most of us are caught in these cycles, these conditioned responses. Something happens, we react, often defensively, and then wonder why we keep hitting the same walls. But becoming aware of your triggers, your usual patterns, those emotional defaults, that's the key. That's how you regain control, as the bulletin puts it. It lets you handle stress better and lead with purpose, not just impulse.
Leading with purpose, that's the goal. Okay, so let's get practical. The bulletin lays out some first steps, right? To move this from an idea to something you actually do. It starts simply with awareness, little steps.
Yeah, and the very first one sounds easy, but I think it's maybe the trickiest. Notice without judgment. So an emotion comes up, maybe anxiety, frustration, whatever. Our usual instinct is to immediately slap a label on it, right? This is bad, I shouldn't feel this. And then try to shove it away or fix it instantly.
That's so automatic, isn't it? The example they give is super relatable. You're in a meeting, someone keeps cutting you off, and you feel that familiar irritation rising.
Right. And the default might be to, make a sarcastic comment or just clam up. But this practice asks you to pause internally and just notice, okay, I'm feeling irritated right now. That's it.
No judgment, no story about why or whether it's justified, just the feeling itself.
Exactly. And when you do that, you create a bit of mental space. You start seeing the emotion as information, not necessarily a command to act.
Okay, that makes sense. How does the bulletin suggest we build this noticing habit?
It suggests something really simple. Pause maybe 3 times during your day. You could even set a quiet reminder and just ask yourself silently, what am I thinking right now? What am I feeling? Just a quick snapshot.
Yeah, check in.
Yeah, it just breaks the momentum a little and pulls you into the present moment.
Okay, so if we manage that first step, just noticing the next tip seems logical. Name the emotion, getting specific.
Absolutely. We tend to live in these vague emotional states, don't we? Like, I feel bad or I'm stressed. But the bulletin pushes for more clarity. Are you feeling bad, or are you actually feeling, say, disappointed about something specific, or maybe feeling overlooked or anxious?
Getting that precise word sounds important. Why does naming it help so much?
Well, think about it. When you name the emotion, I am experiencing disappointment, you inherently create a little distance. You, the observer, are separate from the feeling itself. You are not the disappointment. You are experiencing it. And the bulletin says this act of naming actually softens its intensity. It makes it less of an overwhelming fog and more like a piece of data you can look at.
That little bit of distance. That's where the choice comes in, isn't it? Which leads us right into the next big idea. The power that exists in that space between something happening and you deciding what to do.
Yes, that gap, the space between stimulus and response, that's where emotional intelligence really comes alive, It's where you move from theory to action. We all have those knee-jerk reactions built up over years. But the work is about finding and stretching out what the bulletin calls the pause.
The pause.
Yeah.
And that's all about choosing how you respond rather than just automatically reacting.
Yeah.
The example they use is so common, getting a really critical email, maybe one that feels unfair.
Oh, yeah. That email hits your inbox and boom, emotional trigger. The impulse is usually defensiveness, right? Fire back, explain yourself, maybe even make things worse. That's pure reaction.
Definitely been there.
Right. But the emotionally intelligent move is to step into that pause. Maybe you even close the email for a minute. Breathe.
Yeah.
And choose to respond differently, maybe with curiosity, trying to understand where they're coming from instead of just anger.
That moment of choice is huge. But how do we actually train ourselves to take that pause when we're feeling triggered? It's hard.
It is hard. The micro-step activity for this is really simple, though, and surprisingly effective. Next time you feel that heat rising, that defensiveness kicking in, just silently count to 5 before you say or type anything.
5 seconds. It sounds like nothing, but in that moment.
You can feel like an age. But those 5 seconds are often just enough time to let your thinking brain catch up with your reactive brain. You shift from that primal response to your prefrontal cortex, where reason lives. It's not about suddenly having the perfect, calm reply in 5 seconds. It's just about creating enough space to consciously choose. To choose alignment over impulse, as the bulletin says. You use those seconds to remember your goal. Maybe it's solving the problem, maintaining the relationship, not just winning the argument right now.
That small discipline could make a huge difference over time.
Massive. For your stress levels, your relationships, your reputation.
Okay, so that's the in-the-moment stuff. Noticing, naming, pausing. But self-awareness also means seeing the bigger picture, right? Those deeper patterns that keep tripping us up. The bulletin offers some structured ways to do that too, doesn't it?
Yes, the structured audits are crucial. Because if you only focus on the immediate trigger, you miss the underlying patterns. The first tool here is a daily grounding question. They suggest setting 2 reminders, maybe one midday, like before lunch, and one before bed.
And the question is straightforward. What am I feeling right now, and why?
And that and why part is key. Just asking what am I feeling might give you stress, but asking why makes you dig deeper. Okay, I'm stressed because I overcommitted myself again, or because I haven't prepared for that presentation.
Got it. It connects the feeling to the cause.
Exactly. It grounds you in your present reality and helps you uncover the root of what's driving your feelings and ultimately your actions. It stops you just sleepwalking through your day emotionally.
If you do that consistently, you start to build a clearer map of your own emotional world, which sets you up for the next step, spotting those recurring reactive habits.
Right. And this is where it gets, well, maybe a bit uncomfortable, because it demands real honesty. The bulletin asks you point blank, in what situations do I tend to react instead of respond?
Oof, yeah.
You have to really identify those specific contexts, the topics, the people, the places that reliably push your buttons.
It's easy to blame the situation, isn't it? Instead of saying, whenever my boss gives feedback, I get defensive, or talking about finances makes me shut down. This exercise makes you own your part in the pattern.
And then there's the constructive part. The exercise doesn't just leave you there. It asks you to list, say, 3 of those recurring reactive situations. And then, crucially, next to each one, write down one alternative way you could choose to respond with intention next time.
So you're basically pre-planning a better response, writing a new script for yourself.
Exactly. It primes you for a different outcome. But identifying those really deep-seated patterns often requires looking back over time, which leads to the main tool for this, the emotional audit.
The emotional audit. Sounds serious.
Well, it requires a bit of discipline, but the bulletin frames it as the key way to make unconscious reactions visible. The payoff can be huge.
So how does this audit work? Walk us through it.
Okay, it has 2 parts. First, a quick daily review, maybe just 5 minutes, perhaps at the end of the day. You jot down answers to a few prompts. What main emotions did I feel today? What triggered them specifically? And how did I actually respond?
Okay, tracking the data.
And then the most important question, is there anything I do differently next time?
Yeah.
This turns the whole day, even the messy parts, into a learning opportunity. It stops it all just blurring together.
Right, and then all those daily entries feed into the second part.
Exactly. The weekly reflection. You take maybe 15, 20 minutes at the end of the week, look back over your daily notes, and actively look for patterns.
Oh, so you zoom out.
You zoom out. You see the recurring themes. This is how you spot where you're most empowered, like situations you consistently handle well, and also where you're most challenged. The areas that need more conscious effort, it's really about noticing, analyzing, and then deliberately working on those patterns over time.
This whole journey, noticing, naming, pausing, auditing it all, seems to build towards this really powerful final piece of wisdom shared in the bulletin. Kind of ties it all together.
It does. It's that profound quote from Carl Jung. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate.
Wow. That really lands, doesn't it? It puts the stakes of all this micro work into perspective.
It absolutely does. It highlights the transformation we're talking about. We're all influenced by hidden assumptions, old wounds, unconscious habits. If we don't do this work of self-awareness to bring them into the light,
Then they run the show.
they run the show, they dictate our choices, our reactions, and then we look at the results and think, well, that's just how things are, that's fate. But when you engage in this process, when you practice the pause, use the audit, you take the steering wheel back.
You stop calling it fate.
You start calling it choice. You see how your inner world is creating your outer results.
So this path we've explored, getting off autopilot, finding clarity by naming feelings, choosing how to respond, making those hidden patterns visible, it's definitely not a quick fix. It's real work.
It is work, yeah.
But it's the kind of work that genuinely changes things long term. Not just how you feel inside, but, as the bulletin says, in how you show up. Everywhere, at work, at home, in all your interactions.
Absolutely. Understanding and really applying these ideas, like the ones laid out in the Breakthrough Bulletin, it's the difference between just letting life happen to you and actively shaping a life that feels authentic and intentional.
Well said. And if this discussion has sparked something for you, if you're looking for more ways to build this kind of emotional clarity and accelerate your own growth, we definitely encourage you to subscribe.
Yeah.
You'll get access to more resources like the one we've been discussing today. You'll find the links you need right there in the caption.
And maybe just leave you with this thought to carry forward, a question posed right in the source material itself. How might your life, your path, truly change if you committed to bringing your unconscious patterns into conscious awareness? Something to think about.